news. It is indeed. And if you go on Twitter or X and on Facebook, it's trending on 3 Sports right now across all social media platforms. Black Stars captain Oti Adjei has been dropped from Oti Adjei's 26-man squad to face Mali and Central African Republic in the crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches next month. Now, is this the beginning of the end for Oti Adjei? And the man to give us all the answers.
Exactly.
Is right here with us. And Mr. Michael Oti Adjei, the general manager of 3 Sports here across all media journal platforms. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time. Anytime we have hard breaks, we have him join us. And what's happening? Because you know what we don't know.
I think essentially you have a coach who wants to maybe stamp his personality on a team a bit more. Oti Adjei, I thought, I was watching the press conference again moments before I came here. Oti Adjei basically suggested that he simply wanted to build a team and that he's had a conversation with the DIU, that they didn't much agree on it, but he's had to make a decision about whether he was going to call up the player and has not called him. I thought it was interesting that he was careful to sort of beat down the story. So he was very keen not to explain why he's made that decision. He was very keen not to talk about what happens next. And he was very keen to almost say that this may be a temporary decision. But I think that if you put 1 and 2 together, this could potentially be the beginning of a difficult spell for Oti to come back into the team. And I make this analysis based purely on how I've seen Black Stars exits happen. Essentially, you have a situation where Oti Adjei has had potentially some of his best moments at club level since the last Nations Cup. He's gone on to score quite a fair few goals for Le Havre. He scored 5 goals. He's done better than Enes Niama, who also plays in the French top flight, who is in the team. He scored against PSG. He's had some big moments. Scored a spectacular bicycle kick. I was with the former Ghana captain Stephen Appiah around the moment when the announcement was being made, and he said that in terms of form, Oti Adjei has to be one of the most informed ones, that he looks in better shape, has looked great. So this is not a decision based on form. I think this is more a decision based on a coach wanting to take charge of his team and making the decision that sometimes you have to make call-ups based on non-footballing reasons. And I think that's why he's made this call.
And did you get that conviction that it is indeed temporary, or look, this is just the beginning of the end of Oti Adjei?
Look, from my understanding of the way the Black Stars has worked, every time there's been a transition of teams, we've had situations where players have been moved on, not necessarily because they are not playing, but sometimes to sort of make room for the more non-tangible, unseen factors that affects the way a team does well. So in 2002, there was a big number of players who were moved on so that Michael Essien and the rest could get their chance. Even when Oti himself in 2010, then it was a decision that was made for the likes of Suleiman Tari and the rest to become less influential, and for the likes of Oti, for the likes of Ajiman Bedu and the rest who won the Under-20 World Cup to become more prominent in the team. And I think we've got into a stage where Oti Adjei wants maybe a new team, maybe a new personality, maybe less overbearing personalities on the team. And I think that this suggests to me, because this cannot be in the purest sense a decision based on form, it suggests to me a decision that we could become more familiar with going forward.
That's striking. Let's hear from Oti Adjei himself at the press conference today. And Beatrice, you're going to run through some statistics provided by 3 Sports.
Yeah.
It points to a certain picture, but let's hear from Oti Adjei.
So I had a long talk with Oti, personal. I visited him and gave him the reasons why he's not in the squad at the moment, and I usually held it like this, that I don't talk too much about the players who are not in the squad, more about those who are in the squad. And for me, I can say I don't like to I talk to players directly. I don't like to give information out about what we spoke about. So he's not part of the squad at the moment. Andre is, I mean, as everyone knows, a legend. He's a living legend of Ghana. What he has reached, it's unbelievable what he did for the country. It was a difficult decision, to be honest, because I like him. I like him as a person, also as a player. But this is the decision we took.
So that was the Black Stars coach there, Oti Adjei, and we're talking about statistics earlier. So obviously, just giving them to you. 2023 USA-Mexico friendlies, he was not called up. Also the same year, 2023 AFCON qualifiers, double header versus Angola, he was injured. 2022 WC playoffs versus Nigeria, he was suspended under Oti Adjei. And then in 2018, we also had Japan-Iceland friendlies where he was not called up, and he's missed 4 international breaks, really. So I wanted to ask you, Michael, you talk about he stamping us in the coach, stamping his personality, and we've also seen stories of what he said, where he said, I'm not promising victory or victories ahead of us. But looking at this very big change, how do you think it would influence the performance of the team moving forward?
I think you have to gauge the potential performance of the team. I think, like with every football team, really, and like with every other endeavor. So you take one of the key men there. Who are you bringing in? And I think that's the way to approach this. And we're having a conversation in the sports office because it's been quite a busy day for us today. You look at it in a simple sense. He may have taken away one of the most experienced players. 120 caps. 120 times Andre has played for Ghana, the most capped players in international football. But you take him away and you take away the 24 goals he scored. A lot of those goals have been in competitive international matches. So that's a player who is just not influential, but who knows how to step up on the big days. But he's been replaced by some of the best crop of maybe upcoming players. You could also make the argument that when you watch what's happening with 3 Nations Cups when he's captained the team and they've exited in, I think, 2 in round of 16, 2 in the knockout stage has been the poorest form of Nations Cup spell. You also have replacements in terms of that. So Thomas Partey, the Arsenal player, will captain the team on next week Wednesday in Bamako, and if he's picked in the game against the Central African Republic. He has played in 8 World Cup qualifying matches out of the 45 that he's played for Ghana. And in those 8 games, he has scored 7 goals. Of those 7 goals, there was 1 against Nigeria that qualified us for the World Cup. There were 2 against Congo. So I am speaking to these numbers to suggest a player who can provide the big numbers when it matters. Then you take him away. Then you bring in Mohamed Kudus, who is coming off the back of a good form at club level. He has scored 18 goals at club side this season. But crucially, and I think that's one of the most important things you have to bear in mind, crucially, of the 10 goals that Kudus has scored in competitive matches for Ghana, 8 of them have been in competitive games. He scored twice in the World Cup. He scored twice in the Nations Cup. He scored 3 goals in World Cup qualifying out of 5 games. Then you have Jordan Ayew, who has 3 goals in World Cup qualifiers. So I think that if you take away the goals that Jordan brings, these goals can be replicated by a certain number of players, and the numbers bear themselves out. You could also say that then he provides the coach a different approach, maybe players who are a bit more energetic and theirs. But I did say something earlier today. They won't take this line now, and I say this in a positive sense. He is one of the most determined personalities you will find. There's a reason he went back to his club side after the Nations Cup failure and became a completely different player, and I think he will work his socks off to get back into this team. He will make this a difficult decision for Adjei. He will play well at club level. He will cheer on the team on social media. He will cheer them on his spirit and everything, and he would, at every available opportunity to name a new Black Star squad, he will give Adjei a decision to make. He's not going to throw his hands up in the air and just disappear, but the day would, I believe in all fairness, make it a difficult decision for Adjei to make by simply continuing to be.
Give him a run for his money.
Yes,
it's a crucial point. And you know, and that's the eye that, Mr. T, you bring to all of this analysis, because then you speak beyond what we would just be seeing as everybody is expressing their own sentiments on social media and say, oh, okay, well, Dede is playing well at club level, this is not the time to drop him and so on. But how about Jordan? Because clearly this would have some psychological impact on him as well, is it not?
I think he will be fine. He's had moments in the team where he's not been there. Look, they've been like Siamese twins in terms of their national team careers. And even at some point, they both played at Lyon, at Marseille. Then they were both together at Swansea City. But that's a 30-plus-year-old man, a 30-plus-year-old man, and almost a 30-year-old man and his brother, who may have been together for a very long time, but who understand that they were never going to be together in the national team for a very long time. I think Jordan will be fine. I think Jordan will be fine. I think Jordan will continue to play a big part in this team. Whether in the absence of Inaki Williams, that will be even more the case. And I think he will carry on as well as possible. I have always been of the conviction that he still remains an invaluable member of this team, and I like the fact that he is there. I look at the squad that Adjei has named, and I thought that he sort of picked quite a number of interesting players. So, you know, his brother guy from West Bromwich Albion who scored in terms of goal contribution is in double figures, so that's a good way of drawing back players in. There are a number of players who've been on good form, a number of players with a lot to prove. Kamaldeen Sulemana gets praised always, doesn't deliver. Can he do that this time? And Estoma gets talked about a lot of the time. I don't see that on the pitch when he plays for the Black Stars, so maybe the time to step up. Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus and the rest are always there when it matters most. So I'm looking
Penton is in the team?
No, Joseph Pencil is one of a number of players who are out through injury. So that was a bit of the low side. But Adjei has sort of tried as much as he can to rid this team of a lot of the players who didn't do well at the Nations Cup. He's tried to move this team on, and some of the call-ups reflect that. Wednesday, that will be the opportunity to see. From tomorrow, they will start gathering in Accra, training at the Legon complex. I really want to see what comes out of this, because I thought that today Adjei used the press conference to really try to project a different image of Ghana. Beatrice was speaking about him saying he cannot promise victories, which was mainly, we like nice headlines. But essentially what he was saying was that what he will be most pleased about is for us to win games, but also to win the games in the most impressive of manners. I disagree that we played well at the World Cup, but I do agree with him that if you play football and you play well, that's great. But we want to win games. We have lost one game in the World Cup qualifiers already to Comoros. There is a certain emotional damage that comes from that. We won one against Madagascar. Mali is our biggest competition. This is a World Cup qualifying where you must top your group to go through. So those two games against Central African Republic on the 6th and the 10th are so important. And I really hope that he can focus on them and give us the best out of it.
And let's hear from him finally about his philosophy, because you keep going back to that.
What I want to be assessed with should be the way we play. I can't really, like I said, I can't predict. We will have good times, we will have bad times. There are just some few coaches in the world who lose rarely. I know that we will also lose matches maybe, but in the long-term process, what I want to be assessed on should be the way we play. And I think we showed, even though we went out, we showed when we played against Nigeria, when I came the first time, that we played good football. Not only that we qualified, we played good football offensively, but also defensively. Even at the World Cup, we had, let's say, good phases where we played good football. And this is what I want to have permanent in every game.
Well, he's looking for a philosophy that will be permanent in every game. And you recall, so finally before we go, that there were questions about what was his philosophy in his first spell with the team. People didn't really know exactly the kind of game plan that he was employing at every step of the way, there was really no rhythm, is it not? Do you get the sense that this is somebody who has recognized that and is ready to do differently, finally?
I get a sense that this is somebody who is determined to change things around with the national team. I've been a big critic of Oti Adjei for a very long time, but the call-ups that he's made today, some of the decisions that he's made, I think his general demeanor today was, look guys, I'm here for the long term, I want to do a job, I am more into this than I was into it. The first time there were a lot more smiles, a lot more attempts to reach across to the people on the other side, which was the media. I saw somebody who is keen to work on the errors. They may not always work, but at least I've seen the effort. And I think that if that effort and that passion goes into training, then this is a team that will get better as we get along.
A week away from today, we'll see.
Yeah, we would. Mali is always a difficult place to go. But I remember in 2010, we kept worrying about this. Then we went over to Mali, big qualifiers. They had some of the biggest names on the continent. We beat them 2-0. One of the best games Kodja Samoa has played for Ghana. I have a feeling that Kudus will be our Kodja Samoa this time.
Super stuff.